Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and Merry Christmas to you all. Of course, yes, it is Christmas time, which also means we are getting to the end of 2019. So, what does that call for? That calls for me to do my team of the year for this year in rugby for 2019, who I think is the best player in each position this year. So, let's get into it. Starting off then with the loose head prop. Two options for me. Mako Vunipola's one. He's had a fantastic year. He's played very well every time he's played. Unfortunately, though, he hasn't played that often because of injury layoffs. And then the other option is Tendai Matawira, as also known as the Beast. He's had an outstanding year for South Africa and helped them in the scrum aspect. He was amazing in the scrum, brilliant in the scrum, and everywhere else was all over the pitch. And yeah, I think the loose head prop for me would be the Beast himself, Tendai Matawira, because he, as I said, he's had a fantastic year. I think he just beats Mako in the year this year, mainly because he's not had any injuries this year. Mako's had a lot of layoff time, and he hasn't. And also the fact that he won the World Cup, that's going to come into a lot. He won the World Cup, he won the Rugby Championship, he was critical in a scrum that dominated most teams for South Africa. He was just outstanding for him. It was his last year of international rugby. He's now retired from international duty, and what a way to end his international career with a fantastic year with a World Cup, the Rugby Championship, and playing so well. Truly a great player, and yeah, he will be my loose head prop in my team of the year. To the hooker then, and there's a couple more choices for hooker, but I'm going to go with a bit of a shock almost. I don't really know if it is a shock. Some people may think it's a shock, and that's Shota Hori for Japan. And main reason I've gone with him is how well he played in the World Cup. That is the main reason. He was fantastic in the World Cup for Japan. Absolutely everywhere. The line breaks he was making, getting over the gain line, scored a couple of tries in the World Cup. He was a nuisance. He was a nuisance for players. He was everywhere. He was almost like a centre, just making those runs like centres do, and was just absolutely outstanding. Other candidates, you could have Jamie George. He's had a very good year this year, but for me, Shota Hori has had a out. But the main reason he's in here is how well he played for Japan in that World Cup. He helped Japan get to the quarterfinals and was outstanding in practically every single game, especially the game against Scotland that got him to that quarterfinal. He was immense in that one, and I think that performance alone can get him into any team of the year, and he is in my team of the year as the hooker. Tight head prop is also another difficult one. You've got a couple, Kyle Sinclair, Tide Furlong, cracking players along the way, and it's quite close. It's quite hard for me to pick who, but I think I'm going to go with Kyle Sinclair of England. He has had an outstanding year, Kyle Sinclair. He did well for Quins in the Premiership. Unlucky not to get that semi-final spot in the Premiership, but did fantastic for Quins either which way. But for England, he was outstanding. I feel like he's really come up this year. I mean, in the Six Nations, he had a couple of poor games where his head took over him, and he saw a bit of red mist and cost the game now and again for England. Just think back to the Wales game when he lost his head, gave away a couple of penalties, and it just went towards Wales in the end of that one in the Six Nations. But in the World Cup, which is where most of my reasoning will come from, he was outstanding. We barely saw the red mist descend him, which is quite often which we do, and he was immense. He was critical in an England scrum which really fired in the World Cup, and he was absolutely everywhere. Remember that Australia game in the quarterfinals? That try he scored? Fantastic. He just gets into positions that props don't really find themselves in. he makes runs which some props don't do, and he's just had a fantastic year. He's really shown himself this year. A couple of years ago, it was almost like, will he get there? Will the red mist hurt him? Will he get there? And he has this year, and he came at the right time at the World Cup, was outstanding for England. Part of the reason why they got to the final was thanks to him, and he really deserves to be in any team of the year, and he is in my team of the year as a tight head prop. Now, the first second row I'm going to pick number 4 will be Maro Itoje. Now, second row's really tight. The first one I'm picking is Maro Itoje. You could have loads. There's Itoje who could be involved as well. There's so many players. Eben Etzebeth, Sam Whitelock, Brody Retallick. So many players who could be picked as a second row. I think it's been an amazing year for second rowers. Most second rows for all the big teams have had outstanding seasons and outstanding years. So the first second row I'm picking is Maro Itoje, and I think he's had an outstanding year. There are little areas in his games which let him down. He does give away a lot of penalties, but he is just so into the game. He just gets himself around the pitch, gets himself in practically every ruck he can find, tries to ruck over every ball, tries to jackal at every ruck. He's outstanding, and his ball carrying has got better year on year. He seems to gain ground every time he has ball in hand. He is just a nuisance for teams to play against, and he was a nuisance in the World Cup for every team England faced, and he's been outstanding, and not just for England, but for Saracens as well. I know now that Saracens' titles are a bit tainted, but he has been one of the main reasons why Saracens have won what they've won this year, the Premiership and the European Cup. He has been outstanding in all of those. Just think about the final in that European Cup and the semi-finals where he was immense, making tackles like his life depended on it, jackling like his life depended on it. And for me, I feel like he is one of the best players in the world at the moment, and one of the best second rows at the moment. I think he's absolutely outstanding, slightly beating the likes of Eben Etzebeth and Itoje, who have also had fantastic years this year. But I feel like Maro has just once again had an absolute stonker of a year and gets into my team of the year as one of the second rows. The other second row I'm picking is going to be Alan Wynne-Jones. As I said, there's a lot of other candidates, as I've said, Itoje, Etzebeth, Retallick, but I think Alan Wynne-Jones is fully deserved of a Team of the Year spot in 2019. He has been immense. The captain of Wales, well, he is almost like a god for Wales. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, gets himself all over the pitch, and also to say he was a nominee for Sports Personality of the Year, but that is just for Great Britain. But that still lends itself to how well he has done this season. Helped Wales get to the Grand Slam in the Six Nations, and he was a real integral part in that. Because in that last game against Ireland, I'm pretty sure he got injured halfway through that game, but got up, carried on, and really pushed Wales. He is a captain. He's probably, for me, one of the best captains in the world at the moment in rugby, because he's amazing as the captain. He just somehow manages to get his team firing up when they're down on their knees. And other than that, he gets everywhere, makes tackles like no one else does. He just always seems to be there. He's always talked about. He's always there, and I don't think there's really anything else to say. He's just an absolutely fantastic player, and for me, truly deserved to be one of the best second rows of this year, and is in my team of the year as second row number 2. We move on to the flankers, which is a very, very hard choice. There's quite a lot of flankers who have played well, but there's 2 who have been absolutely outstanding. And the first flanker I am picking is Tom Curry for England. Where do I start with this lad? He has been fantastic, so young and so mature for his age. honestly, on the rugby pitch, he is just such a good player for his age. I think he's about 21 at the moment, Tom Curry, and he's shone. He's really shone this year. He's really come up trumps with Sale and with England. He's been absolutely insane. He is the master of the jackal. He is master of the tackling ability as well. He is just fantastic. Gets himself over the ball, and almost every jackal he commits to, he wins the ball. He's a master in the turnovers. It's mad how he can get so many turnovers. And yeah, Tom Curry is my first pick as flanker of the year in team of the year. Fantastic year for Sale and for England. One of the reasons that England got to the final of the World Cup is thanks to him and his jackling ability, rocking over the ball and seeming to get turnovers where no one else can get turnovers. He has been fantastic and has had a brilliant year for England and Sale, and is my pick for the first flanker in team of the year. The next flanker I am picking is, I think it's an obvious one, really, and it's World Player of the Year, Peter Steph Toit. Obvious one. I think if he's got World Player of the Year, he's got it for a reason, hasn't he? And he should get into everyone's Team of the Year because of the fact that he won that alone. But he won that for a reason, and the reason he won that is because of how well he played. Integral in winning the World Cup for South Africa, really was. And like Tom Curry, his jackling is immense, but more than that, his tackling and his work rate, his ability to get around the pitch for a full 80 minutes is insane. He's like a workhorse. He's never stops. He just goes in, goes in, tackle after carry, battering the lines. Fantastic player, and truly deserved of World Player of the Year. And I think it's quite an obvious choice, and I don't really need to say any more on why he is my flanker to get my second flanker to get in Team of the Year. He has had one of the best years, well, the best year of his career, and he has been brilliant and is my second pick for flanker in Team of the Year. We move on then to my number 8 of the year, who will go into my Team of the Year. And there's quite a lot of decent number 8s this year. There was Dwayne Vermeulen, who's had a fantastic year for South Africa. There was Billy Vunipola, of course, he's had a brilliant year as well. But my pick is going to be Ardie Surveyor of New Zealand. I think even though New Zealand haven't fired at all as well as they hopefully as well as they wanted to this year, I think he's still been a shining light in their year, and he's been brilliant in Super Rugby earlier on in the year. And yeah, New Zealand may not have won the World Cup, they may have come third, they may not have won the Rugby Championship, but throughout all their games, maybe apart from the England game in the semi-final, Ardie Surveyor has always seemed to be one of the best players on the pitch for New Zealand in pretty much every game. And he's been like that this year. And I feel like he just beats it over Dwayne Vermeulen and Billy Vunipola. Both of those two have had fantastic years, brilliant years. But I just think Ardie Surveyor, even though New Zealand haven't won much this year, he has still been outstanding as a player, and he's a fantastic number 8. He's brilliant. He can play in the flankers as well, and he's everywhere. He makes tackles, makes gain line successes. He breaks the line every time he carries the ball. He's outstanding. I feel like the only down point from him was maybe the England semi-final, when he did get schooled by the likes of Ben Curry and Tom Curry and Sam Underhill. But other than that game, he's been fantastic all year, and Ardie Surveyor is my number 8 of the year. For the scrum half, I feel like this one's quite an easy pick, to be honest. There hasn't been a scrum half who's really stood out to me more than this one, and I think it's an obvious one. Faf de Klerk. What a year Faf de Klerk has had. He is one of the best, or well, not one of the best, at the moment is the best nine in the world for me. I think he's outstanding. He beats Aaron Smith for me for best nine of the year, and he's really done well, hasn't he? I mean, throughout the whole World Cup, I mean, people were saying that maybe he was kicking too much for South Africa, but it was obviously their game plan all along, and it worked a treat. His kicking is so pinpoint, it's accurate as hell, and all their backs can move up as one and just put pressure. He puts pressure kicks, he pressure passes, and he's been fantastic. There's not really much to say about him, to be honest, because he's just been amazing. And for me, the definite best nine of the year. As well, he's got great hair, hasn't he? Faf de Klerk, brilliant hair. But just a fantastic nine all round. He's just an all round number nine. Makes tackles you wouldn't expect him to make as well, and just puts teams under pressure. And he's just a fantastic number nine. And I feel like there's no question that he has been the best number nine of the year. And for me, he is going in my team of the year. Faf de Klerk as my number nine. At fly half for my team of the year, it's a bit more difficult for me for fly half. There's been quite a few good fly halves. I mean, Mwanga's had a good year for New Zealand. You've had Dan Biggers did well in the World Cup for Wales, as did Gareth Anscombe, but not in the World Cup. Of course, he was injured. Gareth Anscombe had a great year for Wales and his club as well. And but for me, I'm going to go with Andre Pollard of South Africa. And yeah, this team of the year might seem full of South Africans, but they did win the World Cup and they have a lot of players who played outstandingly in the year. And Andre Pollard is one of them. He has been fantastic all year long. His spot kicks have been insane. Just kicking them from anywhere. He's so reliable in those situations, and it's almost dangerous giving away a penalty against teams like South Africa, because you know that they've got Andre Pollard who will kick over the vital 3 points, as he did against Wales, where he showed nerves of steel in that semi-final to kick over those 3 points, which ultimately led South Africa to the World Cup final and then ultimately the World Cup trophy. So he's had a fantastic year, as he's won the Rugby Championship with South Africa, the World Cup with South Africa, and he's been pulling all the strings, done everything that a number 10 needs to do to be the best number 10 in the world. And I don't know if he's fully there yet, but maybe not the best in the world, but definitely the best this year out of a lot of them. There's a lot of close competition. Like Mwanga has had a brilliant year, even though New Zealand didn't do too well in terms of winning things this year. And like Dan Biggar, Gareth Anscombe also had pretty good years, but really Andre Pollard, for pulling the strings in that World Cup for South Africa, really deserves a spot in Team of the Year, and for me, he is my number 10 in Team of the Year. Now we'll go to the winger, the first winger, the number 11. And for me, my first winger I'm picking is Josh Adams of Wales. Outstanding year. He has come up so quickly, shot up through the ranks. I mean, this time last year at the beginning of 2018, no one knew who Josh Adams was. He was just a player playing for Worcester Warriors at the time, scoring a hatful of tries, but no one really knew who he was and didn't really know his potential. But all of a sudden, he shoots up, all of a sudden gets into the Wales squad for the Six Nations, and then in the World Cup is the top try scorer. He has had a brilliant year, and there's been a lot of good wingers, but I've got to give it to Josh Adams, because getting top try scorer is a big thing for a try scorer. Yeah, Wales didn't win the World Cup, but he should be very happy about that, because in some games where he didn't play very well, like Fiji, where his defensive capabilities kind of weren't amazing, as he got pushed over by a lot of the big lads, he really showed himself in his prowessness, if that's a word, in getting over the try line. He has white line fever. He knows how to get over that try line, and he didn't play well against Fiji in that game defensively, but attacking wise, he was outstanding, finishing tries off. Yeah, sometimes a winger's job's easy, it's just running and putting down. But they have to get into the positions, and he gets into the positions. He's got quick feet, and he's got great finishing ability, and he just knows how to score tries. You just give him the ball in close range, 5 meters out, he's bound to score. He's had a fantastic year, and I think it even shows how much of a good year he's had with how quickly he has shot up through the ranks from a nobody in 2018, from someone who not many people knew of, to where he is now. He has had a brilliant year and fully deserving of a place in a team of the year. My team of the year. Josh Adams is my first winger in team of the year. At inside centre then, so number 12, the reason why I didn't mention him as one of the picks for fly half is because I'm putting him here. It's Owen Farrell. I'm going with Owen Farrell, the Englishman, at inside centre, and that's mainly because he has played inside centre all year for England, so I'm putting him in inside centre for my team of the year. And he has also had a fantastic year, not just for England but for Saracens as well. He's won everything with Saracens. This year he nearly got to England to a Six Nations title, just lost to Wales, nearly got England to the World Cup final. It's been quite a lot of ifs, only ifs for England this season, but really Owen Farrell has been amazing all year. He's really done well. He's been, just like Andre Pollard, pulling the strings in that number 12 spot for England and pulling the strings with Saracens as well, helping them to their titles. And he was outstanding in the World Cup, simply outstanding. A couple of games were a bit iffy from him, a couple of times his penalty kicks weren't really where they should be. But the good thing about Owen Farrell is if he has a bad game, you know he will come back in the next one and be much better, outstanding. And he didn't have the best game against Argentina, where he missed a couple of penalties, missed a couple of conversions, but he came back in that quarter final against Australia and showed why he is one of the best players in the world at the moment. And he was simply outstanding all year round. And he is one of the best players in the world. He's um, come up so much during this decade, and this year he has really shown himself as well as last year. But this year he's been just as good and fully deserved of a Team of the Year spot. And sometimes some of his captaincy isn't the best. I mean, he is a bit feisty on the pitch, which is good but also bad for a captain. But in terms of his general play, outstanding and one of the best in the world. And for me, he is my inside centre in my team of the year. At outside centre, now this one, there's a lot of picks here. There's a lot of choices. You've got Manu Tuolangi, who has had a fantastic year for England mainly. You've got Jonathan Davis, who's had a good year. Jack Goodhue for New Zealand has had a good year. For South Africa as well. There's just so many picks for who is the outside centre for me, and it's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Jack Goodhue of New Zealand. I think he's been a good season. He's had a good year. It's up for debate, this position, because there's been so many players who've been outstanding in this position. So I'll be happy to know your thoughts down below on who you think was the best outside centre this year, because there's loads of picks. I'm sure everyone will think different people have been better. But for me, I'm going to go with Jack Goodhue, and he's really come up this year. He wasn't always starting over the past couple of years for New Zealand, but he's come up this year and he did really well in the World Cup. He really showed himself. I mean, New Zealand didn't have the hardest group in the world. I mean, they did have the likes of Canada and they did have the likes of Namibia. And when he played against them, you can overreact on player performances from them games because you think the opposition's weak. But he was fantastic in those games which he did play against the weaker nations, and fantastic against the other nations he's faced as well. He's just been outstanding, Jack Goodhue, and it is tough to pick an outside centre, but I think he just pips it. Jonathan Davis has had a brilliant year, and had a brilliant year. Of course, he helped set up the try from Mpimpi, which brought South Africa the World Cup trophy. You know, there's been so many great players as well as Manu Tuolangi in that position, so it's a really tough position to call. But yeah, for me, I'm going with Jack Goodhue as my outside centre of the year. My second winger, I think it's an easy option. I'll save him for last. My second winger is, of course, Cheslin Colby, and obvious reasons why. Just go watch some videos back of him stepping Owen Farrell, for example, and stepping anyone else. He has a dangerous step. He can score tries, and this year we fully saw him score some fantastic tries. Just look at the World Cup final against England, that winning try where he just had magic feet, got past Owen Farrell, who isn't weak in the tackle, and managed to get past Owen Farrell with ease and dot down. He's just been fantastic. He's a try scorer. He is a natural born try scorer. He's quick. He's got quick feet, and he's got the finishing ability, like I said with Josh Adams. He can score tries. He's a dangerous player, and South Africa have used him to the best of his ability. They just ship the ball out to him when he's in space, and whenever he's in space, you're in trouble. And that's what happened to England in the final. And he is a scary player to play against. He may not be a massive player, but his feet are dangerous. He can just tiptoe around anyone and he's in and he scored a try. For Toulouse this season, he's been fantastic. Helped take him to the semi-final of Europe. He's been fantastic for Toulouse and fantastic for South Africa, helping them to the World Cup trophy. Absolutely outstanding, and I don't think this one's really up for debate, to be honest. But if you have anyone who you think was a better winger, then I'll be happy to know. But really, I think Cheslin Colby has been the best winger of the year for me, and he is my second winger in my team of the year. Now for the last position, fullback, number 15, and this one is also very tough because I'm split between two players for this position. I'm split between Beauden Barrett for New Zealand and Liam Williams for Wales. I'm a bit split, but I think this may cause controversy, but I think I'm going to go with Liam Williams in my team of the year. He has had a fantastic year, really has. I mean, he's been pretty much an average player over the past couple of years. He can score tries and everything else. He's been just an average player who is decent. But this year, he showed himself as one of the elite, one of the best players in the fullback role. And he's just come up trumps. He's been fantastic for Wales. His defence has been outstanding. His attack has been brilliant. But his catches under the high ball is what really sets him apart from the rest. Fantastic under the high ball. It makes a team so much more confident when you can kick it and know that someone's going to be there to catch the ball or to challenge and tackle as soon as he gets there. And he's everything that you want in a fullback. Quick steps, of course. Brilliant in the high ball and a brilliant defensive player as well. He's just been absolutely fantastic for Wales and fantastic for Saracens. And I just think he's been better than Beauden Barrett this year. Just. And I'm edging it mainly due to the Grand Slam that Wales won and how he really helped in that aspect, and especially against England where he dominated the high ball in a game which basically won Wales the Grand Slam in the Six Nations. He was fantastic in that tournament, winning high balls if his life depended on it. And for me, that's what really set him apart from Beauden Barrett this year. Don't get me wrong, Beauden Barrett has had a fantastic year, brilliant, as has the likes of Kenki Fukuoka and Matsushima of Japan. I know they're not fullbacks, but they need to be mentioned as well because they have had fantastic years as well. But I just think that Liam Williams edges it in the fullback role for me, and he is my fullback in my team of the year. So yeah, that is the end of the video. That is my team of the year. Some of the picks could cause a bit of controversy, but I'll bring that on, hey? So I don't mind if you comment down below and put down who you think was your team of the year of 2019. And if you think any of my decisions were wrong, I'll be happy to hear what you think about your decisions and why you picked certain players over who I picked. So I'll be happy to hear your choices. Anyway, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. If you're watching this on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If you're watching this after Christmas, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Just have a brilliant Christmas, guys. It's been a brilliant 2019 of rugby. Yeah, and I'll say it again, Merry Christmas. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for watching other videos that were in the past. It's been a decent year, and thank you all for watching. I'll keep repeating it, and I'll see you in a bit for my team of the decade video, which will come out on New Year's Eve. So stay alarmed for that. So yeah, I will see you guys in a bit. Give a like, please subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in a bit.